Hello, my name is Dalzar, and today we will be doing something slightly different. We will be talking to a very good friend of mine. This is a introductory video to hopefully a series of our podcast. And if you do really enjoy it, please do subscribe and follow me on Twitch. I stream on Twitch on Mondays and Wednesdays and Fridays. Hopefully I'll see you there, but for now, let's roll the intro. And talking about anything and everything, and if you like it, that would be amazing. And if you have any questions about our lives, personal questions, etc., just drop them in the chat. We'll try to answer them as best we can. But otherwise, yeah, this is Kay. Yeah.
Hello, everybody. This is my first time on Twitch streaming. So Oybek is a very good friend of mine. We had a little idea the other day. We just thought, you know what, let's just see how it transpires, and we got cracking today. So it was done pretty quickly, wasn't it?
yeah. We kind of thought about it, like, hey, let's have a just chat and go from there. Yeah, cool. So yeah, what we're going to do is we'll just start with whatever is happening now, and from there we'll just jump on to different things, and yeah, we'll carry on. So
Yeah.
how you doing, mate? You alright?
Yeah, I'm alright. I've had a decent week, not too bad work, of course, but now we're chilling for the weekend, and we're trying this new venture with yourself.
Yeah.
See how far it goes.
It's a bit difficult now, juggling part-time, what you like to do, and then full-time work, and
yeah,
difficult.
exactly. But we'll get there. We'll try something. We'll see how it goes. I suppose something that we were talking about the other day was people treating the way they see their life in a matter of, is it fair or is it not fair kind of thing, right? Equal playing field, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we kind of ended it in a good spot. Just to summarize, basically, so there are different people from different backgrounds, and they have different kind of opportunities in life. What we're basically talking about is how you can come through and get over things and carry on with your life. So yeah. Also we kind of talked about some influential people like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, etc. And
Yep.
I think that's what we kind of ended, right? So basically we have kind of very different upbringings, and we're different places where we come from. Like myself, I have quite I would say probably a middle class family where I never needed really anything much, and I mean, obviously I couldn't just go and say, hey, I want that as a toy, and then they was like, yeah, sure, here you go. It wasn't the case. Obviously I had to earn it, but it wasn't like I ever saw myself as struggling. So from there on, kind of when I was 18, I came to London and started working, and that's where I kind of ended up, with the career and with life. So I got married, have a child, and a second one on the way, which is another kind of a point where it's difficult to juggle everything and do what you like and what you have to do at the same time. So
yeah. I think what was it like for you? Because you came here quite late, right? So what was that like for you coming at a later age? Because I came here a lot younger. So for me, I had to go through that phase where I grew up in a foreign country, completely different to what I would be experiencing. So what was that like for you coming here and having to set a whole new life for yourself? What was that like?
What was the age that you came?
I was about 6 or 7.
Okay. Yeah, no, I was 18. It was quite daunting, but I think more than that, well, there are two things. So if I would come in here and I had nobody here, then that would be a different story. But before me, my older brother came to London, so he kind of set everything up. So I wasn't just coming to completely unknown. But having said that, it was just my older brother, and I was 18, I was a teenager, and before he actually came to London, we were kind of both were, like brothers do. You fight over things, and you still get along. So it was that kind of stage. And when I came, I was still obviously I came straight from my parents' house to live kind of on my own. I mean, obviously I have my older brother with me, but then he works, I work, go to school, university, I mean, and study. So it was like from complete, and I think your culture is quite maybe similar to mine, where if I live in my parents' house, my mom does pretty much everything. She wouldn't even let me do anything, and from complete dependency to complete independence, that was a bit daunting. So there was a massive culture shock too, and I literally there were days when I had to walk out and just I was like, everything is different. Like the only thing that's the same is the leaves on the trees, because even the clouds, even the freaking sky was different, because I know for sure, like back home there's just one layer of clouds. Okay, so it's just very high somewhere in the stratosphere, there's like one layer of clouds, and that's it. When I came here, I found out there's actually three. So if you go outside, you look at, there's a fluffy ones at the bottom, and then you've got like some thin layer, and then you've got another top layer on top of that. So I was like, this is ridiculous. Why would you guys have 3 layers of clouds?
Well, I don't think it's three layers. You have to remember, I think one of them, I think 2 layers of them are just pure pollution. Like
yeah, probably. Probably. But to me, I was 18, like know nothing, can't do anything. Yeah, so I came in, and my brother was a big help, obviously. We talked through things. So back home, the thing is, where I come from, it's people are quite religious, but then then actually not. They think they are, but they're not.
Okay.
And so, for example, I'll explain you what I mean.
Go on.
So, I think they confuse being conservative with religiousness, and in some cases it is true, but in most of the cases, people like it's predominantly Muslim country. I'm not, but I don't follow any rituals or anything like that. I'm quite liberal. But before I came in, I was very conservative, and so people, what they do is they drink, they smoke cigarettes mostly. It's illegal back home. They drink like vodka and whiskeys and all that, all the spirits, beer, and they smoke, and the women don't have to wear any kind of cover-ups. But then they think that they're Muslim, and which could be true. That's fine, but it's like in the eyes of the religion, if you don't follow the rules, then you're not part of it. So and people think that they're actually religious when they don't follow all the rules. So that kind of confused situation, and plus it's a post-Soviet country, so culturally it was confused as well, the whole country. And it was like almost 20 years in dictatorship as well. So from that kind of environment to complete freedom was very, very difficult to kind of compute in my head and understand what's going on. Whereas I guess for in your case, when you actually grow up here, you grow up with the country itself. That makes sense.
I mean, the thing is, you grow up with the culture, right? You understand that the culture is going to be different. So, but growing up with it, because from your perspective, you came at a later stage, so you already had developed an idea of who you are as a person in general, and what you experienced here was okay. It was different, but you still understood who you were as an individual. You had a dedicated goal of why you came to the country.
Yeah.
In exactly. In my case, I grew up here, so for me, it was I managed to adjust in certain ways, but in other ways, it always felt like the adjustments that I would make when I would go back home, or when I'm trying to make my own decisions and try and build the foundation that you're supposed to build growing up, became a culture clash. And it became a culture clash which can cause quite some severe, I don't want to say personality problems, but you're still trying to figure out who you are as an individual, because you're so used to seeing, the Western side of, democracy and free speech and the way you express yourself. and then you still got to go home to an Eastern culture, which is, dominated around family values, religious
Yeah,
values, cultural values. And in today's world, especially when you move to a foreign country, it's difficult to try and conform with your you can still take the best of both worlds, but ideally you do end up being in a situation where you do get torn a little bit, and you do have to find your feet and find out for yourself who you are. But it does make it difficult. Does it make it even an even playing level field? No, in some sense, and yes, in some sense, like, because you always have an advantage coming from another country, new ideas, new ways of thinking, and at the same time, using that mentality is difficult to try and work within a system that's designed, for people of the homeland. So if you do
yeah.
want to do well, you have to kind of, start engaging within the system and work within the system in order to work your way up the whatever ladder you want to call it and define success. Um,
Yeah. But
but
one
what
month.
you've done in a short space of time is fantastic, man. I have to admit, like, from the conversations we've had about, outside of this
Yeah.
talk right now, it's phenomenal. You've done it in such a short space of time, and not a lot of people can do that. So that's something that, is an example, even if it's just on a small level for you.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't. Look, my family always say that I'm lucky, and I don't consider myself as lucky. But they always say that when you try to do something, you don't have to work hard for it; it just comes to you. And
Yeah, yeah,
there were a lot of cases when that actually was true. Like my brother, when he came in the first time, he had massive problems as well, and um, there were times when he didn't really have a place to stay as well, and he was like outside on the streets. But overall, though, the experience he had was much worse than mine, and he had to learn it in a hard way.
yeah,
I can never understand how much trouble he had to go through compared to me, because he was already an adult, and that kind of helped him. But at the same time, it's a completely different world to where we came from. And
yeah,
I mean, imagine like the country being the whole prison, and then you just go outside of it and look into it. Like, okay, there is saying, unless you go outside and see what's better, you don't actually know that you're living in something bad.
yeah.
So when he came in, and he had a lot of trouble, but then he managed to get his life sorted, and he had a good place to stay. Obviously, like anyone coming as an immigrant to UK, you were staying in a shared house and all that. So I came in, and before I came in, I think it took him about 3 months to find a job. And
Yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad at all in comparison to what people do actually go through trying to find a job.
yeah,
That's a pretty
exactly.
good
Now
turnaround.
nowadays, though, yeah, correct. Yeah, well, but at that time, remember, that was before the crisis when he came in here, so before the 2008 crash and all that.
Oh,
So
okay, cool. Yeah, yeah,
I came in 2007, so again, that was just before the crash. And so as any immigrant, the first thing you do is customer service. I was just walking around and handing out my
yeah,
CV to any restaurants and hotels and
yeah.
catering. I was even happy to wash some dishes, just to
Let me
get a
just stop
living.
you on that for just a second, just for
Yeah.
anybody that's watching, or whatever this is gonna go on. What was your first job?
So let me get to that. So
Yeah.
basically,
Okay.
so we have enough time today, so we can talk
Yeah.
in detail. So I started. So it's a funny story, actually. So I walked out with my brother, and we fixed my CV and all that. So we go on the bus. Had a massive culture shock in the bus, because my brother was telling me how he lives now, and it's very different to the way we lived.
Yeah.
And that was like, what, third or fourth day when I came in. So I didn't even have time. I didn't have a choice, because my university was starting very soon, probably like a week and a half after I came in, and I had to find a job to pay for it, because my parents couldn't afford to pay the whole tuition fees. And
Hmm.
if, in case if you're an immigrant in UK, you are paying more in taxes, which is fine. That's no problem, and most of the countries do that. But then every single university charges you twice as much. So if for example, I had to pay close to £30,000 just for a 2-year course, when
You know what? Let me stop you on that for just one moment, just to
yeah.
give anybody whoever's watching an insight of what the tuition fees in the UK they cost. So the average university for a tuition fee in the UK is £9,000, right? So that's for the locals. That's for anybody who lives in the United Kingdom. So anybody like Dalzar over here, anybody like him, he's going to be coming in, so it's going to be quite a costly figure. So just to give you an insight of what he was actually going through. Yeah, go on. Sorry about that.
That's okay. So let me just quickly show you here. I don't know if I can move this around. So basically, it's saying that now UK students at English universities required to pay between 9,000 to 13,000. But if you're an immigrant, you're basically paying between 16 to 26. So like
Yeah,
twice
this
as
is
much.
correct. This is correct.
So that's that. So look, I had to go and find a job. Basically, I didn't have a choice. So that's the pretext for why I was looking for a job that quickly. And so I went and started handing out my CV. And what happened was, I went to a hotel. I'm not gonna name them, but it's one of the biggest chains in UK. And so I went there. I was at the concierge, and I was saying, hey, can I drop my CV off? While I was actually, imagine in slow motion when I'm handing the CV out, the paper to a guy, and he's grabbing it. Before he grabbed it, a guy walked like from my right, from the reception area towards somewhere else, and he looked like he saw me with the corners of his eyes. He stopped the concierge, grabbed my CV, saying, "Hey, why didn't you go to this hotel? They're looking for someone." It was literally that. It was
Okay, wow, all right.
the very right moment, right time and right place. That literally second. If I was there 1 second later or 1 second after, he would have just walked out. That's it. He wouldn't even see me. So, so he told me where to go. I went there, and they did the interview and all that. And I had a very broken English. Like I could express myself. Let me put it this way.
That sounds hard to believe, to be honest. For anyone that's known you like in the recent times, it's very hard to believe that.
No, true. I mean, if you don't live in a country, it's very difficult. I know the grammar, I know what to say, but then what comes out of my mouth is very different to what the brain is thinking.
Yeah.
So I practice a lot at home, just to myself, mumbling, what questions there might be. And I remember internet was very new at that time. You didn't have those smartphones and all this fancy stuff. So when you go to the internet, the information was very limited. So I used that, and I kind of practiced, and then I went through the interview, and then I wasn't expecting much, but the guy called me. I guess they were desperate, so for cheap labor, and they called me. they called me. They said, okay, hey, why don't you come and grab black shoes and black trousers and come. So I went. Yeah, that's where I started. So it was a breakfast job in a hotel. So start at 6, finish at 11:30, and then because I'm a student, obviously I have to take more work. The days that I'm not studying, I literally did from 6 till 11:30, 30 minutes to 1 hour break, and then from either 12:30 or 1 until 1 o'clock in the morning, I did events. By events, I mean the people who basically book a venue within the hotel, and they have like a function, whatever that might be, and you just have to cater for them. So I have to say, I was as skinny as, I don't know, like I was borderline anorexic from that, because it was just difficult to earn money, to pay for your tuition, and
but it's stressful. It's stressful because you're coming from like you said, you're coming from a completely different dynamic. You're coming from somewhere where things are done completely differently. Like you've lived at home for a long time, and then you've gone out to become independent, and you've had to rely on yourself, and you've watched your brother do it. Then you have to do it yourself, and you have to find a system. You have to find a way of making it work, especially in a foreign place where you have no idea how it works. Like you said, your language wasn't the greatest at the time, and you're talking about trying to put yourself through the education as well.
Look, exactly.
Do you know, look, here's the thing, right? It's obviously, we were talking about this the other day in terms of individualities and the people that have gone through specific experiences, and what that does to people and the directions they can go in. I think if you had to say to someone like, if someone who's in your position coming here brand new, or or whatever it may be, someone in a difficult situation, but let's say something a little bit more similar to yourself, what would you advise that person who's first coming to the UK? What would you advise them to do? What would you say the first thing you have to sort out is before you do anything else, if you had to give a tip to anyone?
It's very difficult to say now, because it's been a while, and the whole thing has changed since I started. So what I would say is, the biggest thing is not to give up. So whatever you do, if you have a goal in your life
Yep.
to do something, then you will have areas where things might not work out the way you want, and you will be, you will get down to the lowest low. I mean, like, to carry on from what I was saying, I had to clean toilets and clean rooms after people,
You,
but
you have
which
to
is,
do the dirty work, man.
yeah, exactly, which is fine. You have to do it if you want to get somewhere where you are comfortable. And my advice would be just don't give up, and remember that whatever you're doing is I know it's a cliche thing, but it's making you stronger, in a sense that it's experience, and once you go through the shit, you will know that that was the lowest low, and from there on you're gonna get better, if that makes sense. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I think also there's another thing with that as well. Like there's always going to be highs and lows in life. Even from my own experience, for someone who grew up here, there was a lot of confusion about my direction in my own life, and which way I wanted to go. There, I was very confused about a lot of things. But I think, like you said, I think one thing to really aim for is to have a direction or have an idea, and really try and pursue that idea, because there are going to be crashes. There are going to be crashes on every single level, whether it's going to be you trying to find a job, you trying to get your degree, you trying to make more money, you trying to buy a house. It's never going to be, nothing is ever straight sailing. It's there's
Yeah.
always going to be some sort of up, and then some sort of down, and then it might go down and it might go up. So that's all going to be relevant to the way that your mentality is towards the thing, or towards the subject, or to whatever it may be that you're trying to focus on. I think for myself, it was very, very important to know that everything takes time, because we live today in a world where everything comes to our doorstep. Like, we don't have to really wait for anything. And when you're growing up in societies where everything's about comparison, and everything's about trying to match whatever the other person's got, or anything along those lines, you can get lost in what's important to you,
Yeah.
and what's important to your goals, because you might feel like, oh, I'm falling behind, or I'm running out of time. But I think one of the important things is, like you said, don't give up. Giving up is, it's a factor for a lot of people, but I think failure is one thing, but giving up is another thing. We've all failed at something. No one's ever going to be great at everything that they do, but giving up is one thing. And I think being patient and accepting your situation is another thing. What do you think about that?
Of course, I mean, as in anything, you can't achieve something if you don't, get your teeth in it, and
Hmm.
go ham, and make sure that
Go
you do
ham,
it.
baby.
Yeah, make sure that you do it from from the beginning all the way to the end. The thing
Hmm.
is, if you don't do it properly, then you'll never know if you succeed or not. But that only comes with time. You don't
Yep.
you can't expect to just say, okay, I'm gonna, like, look, I've been trying to do this thing for a long time. So you tried, you go really hard to doing something, it doesn't work out, you change your ideas, and then you try something else. But
Hmm.
until you actually go fully into it, and completely dedicate yourself and spend time, you don't know that this is not going to work. So
Hmm.
if it doesn't work, then okay, it doesn't work, so I need to try something else. But
Yep.
like you said, can only know that with time. So yeah, no, I agree with you. And and another thing I would say, if you've just came into the UK,
Mm.
and you don't know anyone, you have no idea what you're doing, I would say the first thing to do is, if you're a student, there are a lot of student clubs where
Hmm.
like-minded people, and also immigrants, they socialize, they
Hmm.
help each other. Because when I was a student, although I had my brother, we worked different shifts, and he went
Hmm.
to different times to the university, so we hardly saw each other.
Yep.
Um, and what helped me was friends from the uni, and just find somebody who you relate to, and on your when you are down and when you need help, they're the ones who are going to help you. At the same time, don't rely everything on them. So
Hmm.
make
Hmm.
sure that you do your best to fix the situation. And if you need help, there is nothing wrong asking for that. Um, we human beings, we evolve in communities, and we that's our nature. We like to
Yep.
socialize, and we like to talk to people. That's how we evolved. So and asking help is nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it, because not everyone is an expert in everything. Some people have relationship problems. Some people have technical problems with something. And if you don't know something, you just have to go and ask somebody who knows. And you know what? Once they've told you, then you know. you know to do it.
Yeah,
And then
exactly.
you
I
can go
mean,
and tell
look,
the next person.
like you said, the worst thing a person can say is yes or no, like whether or I don't know. Another thing that people are very scared to do is ask questions. That's another good one that you mentioned, because people don't like rejection. For some reason, they think that if they're rejected, or they might be the rejection, or they might feel like the question is too dumb. I think for myself, growing up, I did myself a favor by thinking that no question's too dumb, because the more questions I asked, the more I can enhance my experience and my personal knowledge and my decision making.
Yeah.
I think also you mentioned something in regards to the problems that people do encounter. Someone like myself, when it comes to society, again, like you said, it's important to know that you have people around you that are strong and supportive. You're never going to have everybody around you, but keep a nice close circle where you can go to people you can trust, and you can talk to them about things that you do find difficult. And I think the internet today makes things a little bit easier. There's going to be forums that are going to help you how to adjust and settle down in foreign countries, especially with the sources that we've got in the United Kingdom.
Yeah. I think your audio cut off. Yeah, you're gone. Go on.
Sorry, what did you say?
No, I can hear it. Sorry, your audio cut off for a second, but that's fine.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. So, like I was saying, I think the internet plays a big part today. It's made the world a lot smaller. Information is a lot easier to access. Whereas I can imagine, even though you came in quite an early stage, I'm sorry, at quite an advanced stage of the internet. 2007 is still quite an advanced stage. I think it was still even developing even more, but it was still quite solid. Did you use any of the internet? Did you use any of the sources, for example, when you came, or is that something that it's more now?
So yes. So at that time, basically people were starting to look for jobs online, but I never could find any jobs online. So let me put it this way: the way I started was looking at the newspaper. Still at that time, 2007 was still. You didn't have any.
What newspaper? If you don't mind me asking, what newspaper did you have? A particular newspaper?
No. I literally used to go to the newsagent and just. I didn't even know what newspapers had jobs. I would actually go and look for them at the newsagent. Scroll through.
There was
this one has some jobs, and this one has some jobs. I didn't even know the names.
Yeah, there was one that was called. I don't think they have it anymore. I don't know if it still exists. It was called The Loot. It was called LOOT. And you had in there you know how you got classified ads on all the different channels now and all of that stuff, and you can go and find job sites. This newspaper was basically for all of that. You had you could buy cars off it. It was absolutely crazy. Yeah, but that I think that expired a long time before you came to the country. I think
the analog version of eBay, right?
Yeah. Yeah, man, that's exactly it. Yeah, go on. Sorry to cut you off, man. Carry on.
No, that's okay. So in terms of internet, I don't think I had much luck. And remember, at that time, we didn't have smartphones or anything like that to look for some place.
They weren't as good, definitely. Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever used A to Z. That was how you would look for something. A to Z is basically the encyclopedia of all the bloody streets in London, and there are tons of them. So you would literally go from look at the letter, and then go to the specific page, and then look at the number, and then it was such a long-winded way of finding places.
Oh my god, but yes, this is true.
You didn't have GPS, nowadays. If you want to go somewhere, okay, what's your postcode? Like, here you go. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'll be there in 30 minutes. You don't even know where you're going. You know how long it takes. but back then, we're like, okay, where is it? Okay, we have to look for it. Okay.
You had to at least sit there planning for half an hour how you're going to move around from the A to Z.
Yeah, in central London, if you want to go somewhere in central London from, slightly outskirts, like let's say in the region of Bexley and stuff like that. If you want to go to central London, somewhere specific, you have to leave at least 2.5 hours early. That's it. Full stop. If you don't leave 2.5 hours early, you will be late.
No, I agree.
You might take a wrong turn, and that's it. You're lost, because what's very common in London is the bloody street names. So
it's big. It's a huge city. I think it's 10 million inhabitants even without London as well. So it's huge. It's massive.
So yeah, it's.
Where were you living originally when you first came here?
Acton.
You were in West London.
A very affluent place, I should say. No, he wasn't. It was such a weird time, to be honest. Like, we used to, like, again, student life, just to save £1 overall on the shopping, £1 maybe. Okay, let's say, let's be a bit generous. £5 of overall shopping of, let's say, £50 for me and my brother, for two people. At that time, in 2007 to 2010, £30 shopping is considered to be a lot. So you wouldn't even do that. Like, massive families might do that. £30.
Yeah.
Now you have to go and spend over 100. But at that time, it was quite good. You know, the prices were quite cheap.
Well, inflation, right? Inflation.
Yeah, exactly. But it's funny how much the prices have changed. So we would go to normally we would go to Morrison's. That was a local one, and that was like 15 minutes walk, obviously. And we would go there and shop there. But then the times when we were, you know, short in cash, we would we would take the buses. I don't know if you know the ones with the like, it's not double deck, it's a longer one, you know, but with the spongy middle, or what do you call them?
The ones that they banned because they were always catching fire.
Yeah, the bendy ones.
Yeah.
So that was the only bus that you could get on without paying, because obviously you can go from the back. So you don't have to go from the front. So we would take that bus and then go to I don't know, like we were traveling maybe 40 minutes by bus, get off, do the shopping, and by the way, when you get off the bus, you have to walk another 15 minutes, you know, one way. So walk there, do the shopping, come back, get on the bus. Like, overall, tired as that, but we would save £5 and we would be happy, you know.
Yeah.
So
you have to walk a little bit longer.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah,
but it makes sense, man. It makes sense. You got to do what you got to do to survive, right? Because at the end of the day, that's what's important. It's getting yourself, even because that can't have been easy to do, right? This is what we're trying to talk about. Like, you know, going through difficult times. We're laughing about it now. Like, there was times, I can tell you, where like I would find a fiver, right? I found a fiver once, and I wasn't going through a very good stage in my life. It was a very difficult stage, and I found the fiver, and I didn't use the fiver. I needed to use the fiver, but I didn't use it. I used it as like a superstition thing, that if I found it and I treated it like as something that I'm in full respect of, you know, as something that's going to help me out, like a gift to go on to do better things. It never really worked, because the fiver just sat on my wall for ages. Like, but these are the kind of things that you do.
It's a subconscious that it has an effect on it. Like, obviously it's sentimental, and you have it has subconscious effect towards whatever you're doing. We have a very similar thing. Like, you use it as a base. Like, okay, this is the base. I'm not going to touch it. What it will do is, like, in a to be very literal, it would attract more money, but it doesn't. It's what you do that does that. And, it's something that to remind. Yeah, it's something sentimental there in your wallet all the time, to remind you that you need to do better, and that's what's going to drive you. Even though you might seem like it's not doing anything, it was just sitting there doing nothing. Obviously, it is sitting there doing nothing. But what's the effect of it is basically,
it's the representation of what it means to you as an individual, or as a person, from what you subconsciously got in your head, or upbringing, or conditioning, whatever it may be. Yeah, no, I completely understand, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Because, you know, for myself, it was extremely difficult being here, especially being a family. You know, the help that you got was a relevant amount, but in most cases, you had to try and put yourself through school. Obviously, schools here are free up to a certain age. Like we said, you know, university becomes more expensive. For me, it wasn't so expensive going to university, because I went at an early stage. I never finished my university, in all honesty. I dropped out, and I dropped out because I realized I was doing something for others. I wasn't really doing it for myself. There was other avenues that I could have gone into to achieve my goal, but obviously, you know, society conforms in certain ways. Like, you know, you have to go to school, you have to get a degree, you have to get an education, you know, maybe a mortgage, and these are the only ways that can be obtainable to the normal person. But I think this is what this conversation is all about. It's that it doesn't always have to be so normal. You know, you can grow out of small spaces, and, you know, you can reach spaces where you can define at least what success means to you, because success is subjective, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think, you know, the other day we were kind of touching the subject slightly. What do you define as success? So for me, I mean, I think it, again, cultural maybe. But for me, the success was always ingrained in my head. You be a good person, all that, which every good parent would probably do to their children, like teach them, okay, be a good person, all that. Outside of that, you know, have a family and make sure that your family looks after you same way as you would look after us when we get old. and you know, family values and all that. But you know, don't steal, don't do that, don't do bad things, don't do drugs and all that. And yeah, so it, I forgot where I was going with that, but
what success is defined as, because obviously
yes, thank you for reminding me. Yeah, yeah. So for me, the success for me the success was that, okay, I need to, and it's not because I was told that that's do this. It was that I wanted to do that as well, because I could see how it made my parents happy. And again, this is very subjective, because some other person who had very similar upbringing to mine might have a completely different situation, completely different you know, outcome. So for me, it was like, okay, I can see my parents and this is really good, and I want to replicate that. So, and this is how it works pretty much for almost everyone. You know, you see a good thing happening and then you want to replicate that to have it in your life if you liked it. So you know, get a really good job, and try and you know, not to be dependent on your paycheck from, you know, month to from months to the next, and you know, make a family, and you know, finally go on some holidays. And you know, just to backtrack a little bit, so that's basically my success: is have a family and be independent and relax, basically. And I'm just reaching that point in my life. But as I said earlier, just to backtrack a bit, it wasn't difficult. Like, look, I have my own flat right now, so you know, I worked really hard to get it, but I worked really hard. I'm really astonished by some. Again, everyone to themselves, but for me, it was very strange that you guys are almost 30, and that was back when I was like 20. You're almost 30. You're still going out. You're still partying. You're going different countries. You're blowing your money out like there is no tomorrow. I didn't say that to their face, but that was my thought process at the time. And I just didn't understand why they would do that. Why don't you save? So I got married. We didn't go, and that's why I love my wife, because we have the same mentality. Is that, you know, we got married. We said, okay, no, we're married. We need to kind of go. We're married as a couple in a new country. For her, it was new, but it was new experience for me in the country I lived in, but it was something new as well, being married here.
Of course.
So we got married back home, and I brought her over, and we didn't go on a honeymoon. I never went. I went once in my life to a different country. And I spent close to nothing. It was, you know, someone else was paying, so a friend of mine. But other than
that, it's free, right?
It's free,
is always good.
No, exactly, and it was a hotel thing as well. So you know, we went to the same chain, all that. But other than that, I never went on a holiday. I never splashed out on anything crazy. I never went out on, you know, crazy parties and, you know, staying out late and then staying in hotels. It was not the case at all. And you know, that's how I kind of saved up enough to get a deposit and initially buy a house jointly with my brother, and then kind of separate. So I consider that as a success. Some people consider having amazing time between between 16 up until the 30, just going and partying, having an amazing life. And that could be that could be the case, because for them, having that kind of memory would probably be really good. But then it's what's the word? To me, I think it's going to be anticlimax, because after 30, you're coming up to middle age, and that's where I guess the middle age crisis comes from. What do you have? What do you have?
You're not gonna go start buying motorbikes at the in Ferraris.
No, exactly. I mean, no, some people can do. I mean, you know, if the older gods looking up to them, you know, and they find
start skydiving.
They're a trader in a bank or somewhere, and they made a massive deal, and you know, they have a couple of million in their bank account. So no, fair enough, you can do that. But I'm talking about like people who had kind of similar background to me. I just didn't understand that even people from back home who came with me on the same plane, they just went on partying. Like, what are you doing? You came as an immigrant. You're taking everything for granted, and you're not even, you know, thinking about your future. You just, because at the time it was difficult to even get a visa. It's even difficult now.
Yes.
You know, but at the time I thought that was crazy difficult. And they didn't even think about that. So they stayed and they partied, like, overstayed their visa, and it became illegal until they're caught and then they're sent back. So that's it. That was the end of the story. But for me, it was completely different. So to me, success was, you know, get everything legally done, Make sure that
course.
I'm not kicked out. Once that's done, I'll get married, find a really good person, and I'm really lucky to find a good person to marry, and then after that have a baby or two. So that's where I am. So I have a son
On the
who's
roadmap.
6. Well, no, I'm kind of reaching the end of so I can see the finish line. So, so I have a flat which I'm going to rent out at some point or whatever, or stay in it. Doesn't matter. But I think it's going to be crowded when my second child, which is on the way, will be born. So we might need to move out to a bigger place. But yeah, so once we move out and I have 2 children, I'm happy. Then I'll tell my wife, okay, now we can go and holidays, and we have some money to spare now, and that's it. I'm content. That's the goal that I had when I was 18, and I'm getting to that now, and I'm what, 32.
Like I think the objective is important. I think where you want to end up is, I was telling you this the other day. One of my friends who works in the banking industry, he the first thing he sees when he walks into any company that might be going through financial trouble or not, the first thing he says is, I look at the direction of the company. I look at the objective. I look at what they're aiming to achieve. It doesn't mean that they can't still make money if they're, staying to a particular system, but the growth and the development and where they want to eventually get to, which is, become bigger and scale up.
True.
He always found straight away that the company that knew its objective was always the company in 2 or 3 years' time, when he looks back at it, is the company that's actually moving forward. So it's I think one thing I read once, or I was watching, I can't remember what it was, but it was very important, and it kind of stuck with me. It's important to have one idea and follow the idea. It might, like you said earlier, it might not work, but it's important to follow it, because from that idea, it will give birth to other ideas, and eventually you want to get the journey is not so much, I think people make the finish line more important than the journey. The journey is all about the growth and the development.
Exactly.
and growing as an individual, because the end goal, you can still reach it in several different directions. It doesn't matter which way you cross. If that's what you want to end up in, you're going to get there eventually.
Yeah, there are different paths. You can reach the end goal very quickly, but then you wouldn't appreciate it as much as if you didn't take the harder journey. I said it wrong. So if you get to if you want to achieve a goal, and let's say I want to earn as much money by this time, and that's all that matters. Yeah, you can get there. You might find a job that gives you that much money, but then do you have the experience for that job? And eventually you might get bored with that because you don't like the job. Because that was your goal, right? You don't like the job, you don't like the people that you work with, and it's just one example. And then you was like, okay, flipping out, I'm not enjoying anything of that. I'm gonna go back to square one. So, and then you will start understanding, okay, what do I really like doing, and start with that, start from scratch, and then
yes, that's important. That's very important.
Because if you just say, okay, I want very just some specific goal, and I want to get there, you can get there, yeah, that's fine. But then how do you get there is the important bit.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean,
keep. Sorry, mate. Keep talking. I'm gonna just load up my pipe and I'll be smoking. So.
Oh yes, of course, the pipe needs to come out. Right. So for myself, I mean, if we're talking about the idea of success, I think the idea of success is, in my opinion, is, again, it's subjective. It's what does it mean to you? If you are achieving the things that you forget what everybody else thinks at success, because society conforms to the fact that success is defined by having shitloads of money and having loads of assets and properties and all of the stuff that you get fed in the media and all that competing stuff. That doesn't mean nothing, because that's what starts setting you off on that whirlwind where you can't actually do anything. You can't really focus yourself in any way, because you're too busy thinking about what's going on around you. You can't actually focus into your own drive. And I think success for me is about finding that piece, finding that thing that you want to do, no matter what it may be, and really progressing in it. Like, for example, if you want to be an artist and that's what's fulfilling to you, even if you don't make, let's say, whatever your living arrangements are, even if you don't make the money that you want to make, it doesn't matter, because you're still happy in what you're doing. And as you mentioned, I think being a good human is a very important part of it. Being a good-natured person, being kind, being understanding, tolerant towards people. And I think defining your own success by walking your own line or walking your own road, because you know, trying to walk somebody else's road is always going to put you in a situation where you're trying to do something else that you're not naturally good at, or you know, trying to be like somebody else who you aren't actually that person. Like for me, again, going back to the religious thing, you know, I grew up with a lot of questions about religion in my head that were very difficult for people to answer to me, and they just
Yeah.
logically they just never made any sense even from a young age.
And
And
you
as
know
I
why?
grew older,
I
yeah,
had the same experience. At least for me, it was because they didn't know themselves. They were
exactly.
justifying it because their parents said so. The people they knew said that this is
It's
the way
been
to do
passed
it.
on. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, and they just accepted it as a face value, and that's it. They never questioned anything.
Yeah, exactly. And when I used to question things, it was always like you'll be ostracized for it. You'll be seen as like, what's this? Like, you know how
Yeah,
in the medieval days or
yeah,
back in the day, if you said anything that's scientific, you were considered a witch.
yeah. They burn people
You
for that.
know, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. You got
yeah,
burnt. You got burnt for, you know, what we consider science today. You know, and it is
yeah,
science. But even for me, like if I was to ask a question like, how do I know that God is up there? How do we know all of this stuff? Like what defines that? And the question that always came back was that's how just the way it is.
yeah. That's just the way it is. Exactly.
And it never made any sense in my head. So I started asking more questions, and the more questions I asked, the more I started learning about myself and working on my own self-development, because I went through a lot of rubbish in my life as well, man. Like, you know, hopefully if we get to do this more on a regular basis, we'll be able to discuss this stuff, you know, hopefully give people an idea and an
Yeah, yeah,
indication that,
exactly.
you know, it's never too late. Because, you know, there was times where I was looking at, you know, the darkest, deepest pit, and I felt like I could never get out. But like you said, again, going back to the whole point of, you know, not giving up and not trying to see the finished picture. Like if let's say you just said all of the stuff that you said today, Oibek, and you met someone, you know,
Mm.
um, you know, if you met someone in the sense of where you're just brand new meeting a stranger
Yeah,
completely, right?
yeah,
And you turn around and you say to the person, you're talking about what you do, what they do, and so on, and they turn, oh, you've done very well for yourself, you know, like it's great where you are, you know. People see the finished article, they don't see the work that you've put, or how far you've actually gone into that to put all of that grind in. You know,
yeah.
everybody always looks at the finished article and they go, oh, look what this guy's got, you know. But
Mm.
people say things get easier the harder you work, the further you go, things start manifesting themselves. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Exactly. I think we lost audio again for you, mate.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All good.
Oh, great, fantastic. So yeah, so like, you know, you look, a lot of people would look at stars today and the finished article, and they'll say, you know what, I can't believe this person has it so lucky. But you know, let's go back to the journey, right to the beginning of what sacrifices were made, what compromises were made. Like what you said when you were working previously, um, you had to go through university, you had to go and save, you had to go and get yourself a deposit, you had to go and put it on a flat, and other people are going out partying. And these are the people that are asking the questions afterwards, going, oh, how come he managed to do it and I never managed to do it?
Yeah, yeah. There's a reason for that,
Exactly.
and you had just had different sets of goals to
Yeah.
mine, short term and long term. Yeah, and by no means I'm not saying what I have is the ideal scenario for everyone. It's just what I have right now.
Hmm.
To me, is the best I can think. I could see myself to be. Let me rephrase that. This is where I am right now. Was the place where I really wanted to be when I first time came in, and I think I've achieved that. And going forward now, I have different sets of goals now. But you know, to achieve that again, I have to work similarly hard.
Yeah, exactly. Because you've got a new objective. Because like you said, you're seeing the finish, you're seeing the finish for this stage of your life, right? But you're going to
Yeah,
be moving, like you said, like, you know, there's another one on the way. And when that newborn comes, then you might have to move to a bigger place. And to move to a bigger place, that's going to be a completely new experience on its own. You know, raising one kid is not the same as raising two children. That's another challenge. And you're going to have
yeah,
to go through that on a daily basis, and find a way of still trying to fit in the things that you want to do, which is all about finding the right balance, right? It's all about having, if you do have a family, which in your case you do, it's all about, you know, finding the time to be a father, finding the time to be a husband, finding the time to have yourself, your space for yourself, and finding that balance. Because, you know, if you do try and take, this is why I think a lot of families struggle as well. I think they struggle because they're just trying to, everything is just mixed in with everything. It's not separated, it's not defined. Like, you know, sometimes you got to have me time, sometime, you know, family time, sometime with the kids, sometime with the extended family. And I think in from coming from our cultures, it's just a never-ending cycle of, it's always about the greater picture, which is in our cultures it's defined as, you know, the family or the religion or the community. It's never about what the individual is trying to achieve. And normally the people that do achieve the stuff that they go on to stand out from are the people that end up leaving the status quo, which is, you know, conforming to everything that their society is forcing upon them, you know. Like in my example, I think one of the biggest situations that people do face is when they're working with, is not understanding the concept of finance and money, right? You're not taught this stuff in school, for example. Like if this was something that was taught in school, how to manage money, how to manage finances, all of these things, I think people would be a lot better off. But then again, you know, they won't be in as much debt and the banks won't be happy.
But then we have to please the banks, right? So
yeah,
again,
exactly.
Someone might turn around and say like, "Oh, you got caught in a banking scheme, scam or whatever. You got a mortgage. You don't know how you're so stupid, and all
I
that."
got caught in a banking scheme, by the way. I'll tell you about that in a minute.
Go for it.
You want to know it now?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So basically, a few years ago, right, when things just started to settle down a little bit, I thought, all right, you know what? Let me play around with what I've got a little bit. So, my brother-in-law, he got in touch with me and he said, look, check out this website. I'm not going to name what it is. Well, I'll probably name it in the future just to shame them because they're an absolute scam. But he goes, check out this place. If you go, because I was looking to trade in cryptocurrency, right?
Okay.
And he said, check out this place. If the minute you sign up, they give you 250 quid credit, and then all you have to do is just top it up with 250. So I went on and I did exactly the same thing.
Sounds like a pyramid scheme.
Bro, this stuff that happened. I mean, it wasn't a lot. It wasn't much that I ended up, losing out on. But the point is, it's where you get like, really cheesed off is when you know that you've been screwed over.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, you don't want to admit it. You're in so much denial because, the signs are there, but you just can't accept it because, okay, you made a little bit of money because they'll show you made a bit of money. And then you try and pull the money out and you'll be like, oh no, you have to make a specific amount to pull out the money. And every time you're speaking to someone different, you're trying to call the number's not answering. the address, it's a virtual office. It's like, oh my God, what's going on? But you're trying to fool yourself that, no, this is going to work because I've invested so much in it. But actually, the reality is you just got too excited for a quick scheme, right?
And that's the pull, isn't it? That I've already invested, so I need to either get the money that I've invested back or get even more. So that's always the trick that gets people in.
It's the loss, right? You don't like losing. People don't like losing.
Same as a casino.
Yeah, it's exactly the same as a casino. They're always going to be winning. When I tried to call them back and say, look, where's my money? They put me on this accountant who was trying to explain to me in the most complicated way why I'm not allowed to pull out my money and I have no justification for it and I have to put in more money. So you have to put in more money to get more money back, and in the end you don't end up getting anything. They end up taking everything.
That's the whole point. Exactly.
Yeah. But my investment now that I put in, that, like, because like you said, it's not just about doing one thing. It's about trying to set yourself up in a way where you do things on the side and to help you go.
Yeah.
We spoke about this before. I told you about, the car rental scheme, for example.
Yeah.
That's something that I look on the side and I feel I'm proud of, because again, it's another opportunity that something can grow out of. Do you know what I mean? It's always about trying to put yourself. Yes, it's never, like we said, it might fail. A few ideas might fail, but at least you put yourself in a position where you're not scared of trying. And I think that's what people really suffer with the most. They're scared of trying. Does that make sense?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Trying, they're scared of trying. At the same time, they possibly don't. I guess this is the reason why they're scared, is that they don't know enough about something to start it off. Never be afraid to start something when you don't know enough. You'll never know enough when you're starting anyway. So when you started, have some kind of foundation, research, have a foundation. You're never going to be an expert. You will only be an expert in that field once you are actually, you know, once you've spent a lot of time and effort.
Well, you have to get kicked down a few times for you to become really good at what you do, right?
Yeah, exactly. You don't know that something has a chance to be screwed until you actually have it until you see it getting screwed. Like you don't know that something that you do might fail until you actually see it fail, either by seeing other people failing at it, or when you're doing it and you have first-hand experience that that doesn't work when you do it this way.
Yeah,
You
no,
turn
I
around and do
agree.
it another way. Keep talking, man. My light is going off because I'm talking.
Yeah, what are you smoking any particular flavors like mint or anything, or just that pure tobacco?
No, it's not. It's not. It's fruity with so some citrus and rum.
Go on, light it, light. Oh, with rum. All right, all right. It is a Friday evening anyway, so I don't blame you. Go on, show the viewers how you do it, man. There we go. Yeah, baby.
It's a nice thing. I mean, you don't inhale it, so it's just for the flavor.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Same as a cigar, really.
I bought my dad a pipe a while back for his birthday. I think he smoked it like 3 or 4 times, and he never used it again. I think it's just the whole point of the. But you know what? I think some people enjoy it. I think you enjoy the whole ritual of putting the tobacco in, right?
Yeah. That's something. Yeah.
Yeah, for some people it's a ritual. I think for some people they just find it a complete nuisance.
Sure, you would rather get a cigarette out of a packet full of chemicals and just, you know.
No, listen, I'm so glad I stopped smoking.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I stopped smoking, man.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
wow.
man, I've stopped smoking. I've almost haven't smoked like a cigarette.
Yeah.
For
when you say, I love the way you said cigarette.
Yeah, I think since it's almost been a year, bro.
Wow.
Yeah, it's almost been a year. I think after you know when the crisis happened last year.
Yeah.
When the crisis happened last year, and you know, people weren't going into the offices, they weren't going into work. It was like, well, why am I smoking? It was fun before because it was a social thing, right? But I'm sitting here on my own just smoking, and it's boring. I didn't feel very good about it. And to be honest with you, it was actually when I made the decision to stop, it was the easiest decision I've ever made. And I know this is not going to resonate with a lot of people. They might go, "What on earth are you talking about?"
Yeah. Yeah.
But when I came to that point, to that conclusion where it was like, you know what, I can't do this anymore, man. Like, there's so many wrong reasons for smoking cigarettes. There's no benefit to it whatsoever, man. The worst part, forget your health. You know, that goes without saying. The worst part is the stench. Like, you do not want to be that person where you're smoking and everyone's smelling the cigarette smoke on you.
Yeah, go on.
And I think that was one of the worst things.
Yeah. You know, I was a smoker as well, so.
Yeah.
And the smell, I think, was the worst thing that even for a smoker. The reason why I moved to pipes is because, again, I love the way that you all in the whole setup, and tobacco is pure tobacco.
Yeah.
You don't have
it's more classy too, right?
Well, some people that think that it's for the older generation, but I don't care.
I think it's super cool, man. I think it's a cool idea. I think it's great. I mean, yeah, look at you, man. How many people do you see smoking a pipe? How many people, especially young people these days, how many people do you see them smoking a pipe, you know, especially on the social media platforms? I don't think a lot of people, man. So yeah, it's a unique look, man. Definitely go with it.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's the whole branding is around that. So I started it and I was like, actually that might actually look good online. So.
And you've got the monocle, right? Yeah, I can see. Yeah, that's the one. It's got the monocle too.
I've got the glasses, but yeah, I think
have you actually got it?
Step. No, I don't have it. I'll get it.
Oh, please get it. I'll beg you, get it. And a tweed hat or a tweed jacket.
I have a tweed jacket.
Next, you're going to tell me you've got a shotgun and you're going to go out hunting.
Yeah. No, I don't like hunting. Well, depends. Depends if it's a pest. But yeah.
Oh yeah, if it's a pest, it's not really hunting. If it's a pest, it's a murder mission.
That's another controversial subject, you know. Like people say, oh, like hunting, you know, you're killing an animal and all that, and you know, I get it. Like a lot of people actually going and becoming vegan and all that, you know, story. But to me, you're not gonna convert everyone to be vegan. You know, a majority of people are still going to be eating meat. including me.
Yeah, of
And
course, of course.
sorry, my light's gone off again. I'm gonna light it in a bit. But
Yeah, that's fine. I think the subject around, vegans and meat eaters, or, vegetarians and stuff, I think again it's subjective, man. Like, I think everything's about intention. Do you understand what I'm saying? I
yeah,
think first of
yeah,
all, it's all about, I think people, what I think is, if you have an understanding of where your meat comes from, and you have an understanding of the rubbish that does go on in today's world in regards to, the way the meat is processed, and you appreciate that, especially with the way, like I mentioned, it's processed. If you appreciate that whole journey, I don't think anyone can really be mad at you. Do you understand what I'm saying? I
yeah. I
think
mean,
when
I know exactly what you're saying, but I think my take on it is I don't like the way that meat is processed, like as you're saying, and the whole thing surrounding that. What I am thinking is, like, in terms of hunting itself,
mm,
like I would love to go on a hunting trip to hunt like deer in North America, where it's actually a pest that have been introduced from other countries, and they're decimating all the grassland and killing off other native,
well, they cull it, right? There has to be a specific amount of
exactly.
population. That's why
They
they
have
cull it down.
seasons. Yeah, they have
Yeah.
seasons, hunting seasons, and you have to go and you can. There are very specific rules. You can only kill an animal that's of specific type, and
Hmm.
you can only do it once a month, or you have like a quota of
And you have to be
how much.
licensed.
Exactly, yeah. So,
Yeah.
and when you do that, the meat that comes from, first of all, you're actually helping the environment, on
Hmm.
the contrary to what a lot of crusaders say about veganism crusaders and all, and vegetarians who might say, is that it's actually helping the environment, and number two is that you're not financing those industries who are processing the meat in the way that they're doing now. So you're actually having an organic meat, very tasty, that you've killed yourself, and it's going to be in your freezer for probably a month to come, and you don't need any more meat, right? So
I watched a just on that point. I watched a I think it was like a hunting program with Joe Rogan.
yeah.
Did you watch
I've
it?
seen that.
Did you
Yeah,
watch
yeah,
it
yeah.
when they? Yeah, apparently it was like. I mean, it looked delicious. I mean, from that point of view.
I've seen a few. Is that the one where he killed a deer with a crossbow or with a rifle?
I can't remember. I can't remember which one it was, but I know that they were like, cooking it underneath lots of coal when they put it in silver
Yeah.
foil, and they were just eating it raw, and well, not raw, like straight off the cooking, straight off the, I don't know what that was called, the fire. That's the
Yeah.
one. um but you know what I think is the biggest problem for me when it comes to the hunting thing? I think is the trophy killing. I think that's the most sensitive part, because yes, we do, some animals, we do breed them for consumption. Yes, the methods might not be approved, and people might not agree with them, and that's a completely different subject for another time. But I think the trophy hunting is the worst one, bro, to be honest with you. It's when you're killing, especially when you get these people who are killing, very animals that are on the verge of extinction, where they're protected, and it's still happening. Like I went to Thailand a few years back. I don't know if you've ever seen an elephant, mate, but
Yeah.
we were in a jungle, and it's just a completely different experience. Like when you're around them, they put you in a perspective where it's like, wow, I'm so tiny. Like, this huge thing, if it wants to crush me right now, it will just absolutely crush me.
Hmm.
Like, and we kill it for our own egotistical pleasure, and that's the problem. um
I'm very
I
torn
don't
with
know
that,
how
to
we
be
can even
honest.
solve that problem, man. I don't even know how that
Yeah.
problem can even be solved. It's a really difficult one to talk about, man.
I'm a bit torn on the subject too, to be honest, because like there has been some success in especially in Africa, where they do controlled trophy killing, and there was a massive
Mm.
controversy with this doctor who went out to hunt, and there was a lady as well in America who took pictures and posted online, and everyone started hating them. But
Oh
to
yes,
me,
I think I saw that one. It was an American lady. Was it an American lady who was standing
yeah,
next to the lion or something? Or
exactly.
it was quite controversial. Yeah, yeah, that actually pissed me off, to be honest. I was actually
So
quite annoyed with that.
to me, for example, there are certain animals. Again, I'm torn because I'm like, I don't know which way I'm leaning. Of- Like animals like elephants, they're very, very intelligent, and it's proven that they actually feel pain, right? I mean, all animals feel pain,
Yeah,
but
they
they
do.
actually
Yeah,
they actually register it as pain. That's the
yeah.
difference. And the person who's inflicting it, they know that, okay, this person is inflicting pain on me, and they have really good memory as well. And same as dolphins, so that they compared like dolphins and elephants to be kind of in a similar range of intelligence.
Yep.
Compared to a let's say a rhino or any other, a buffalo and stuff like that, they're quite stupid, in other words. So um, but so for me, if for example you are doing a controlled hunting of those animals, the ones who are sick, who are going to die anyway, and if you're paying a lot of money for that, which will help to conserve the remaining population, then I understand that. Again, I'm torn with which animals, and that's what my problem is. How do you monitor that? Okay, who's doing what? Because this can easily go out of hand with those pictures, like you said. Is that it can go out of hand, and even the people who meant to be looking after them might get corrupt and let normal healthy living animal to be shot as well, shot and killed. So it's very difficult subject. But I think if it's done properly, it might actually help a lot with conservation as well. And there were some successes as well in Africa where they have done this, and it brought a lot of financial benefits to the conservation itself, and helped animals in the long run, the healthy and living and young animals.
Well, I think some populations they've actually brought back from the brink of extinction. I did read about some major populations, like an animal that's quite well represented around the world. I can't remember which one it was, but again, I think it's also about giving nature just an opportunity to kind of rebuild itself. Because when the crisis happened last year, when everybody was going, when we first found out about COVID and Corona, and nobody knew how to react, did you read up or hear any news about what nature was doing in the time where everybody was in lockdown? Did you hear anything about it?
I kind of did touch base on it. So the animals, like urban animals, like foxes and like badgers and all that, they actually started invading the cities again. Well, that's what it is. Nature takes over when people retreat. Yeah. So yeah, they were moving in, even like in other countries, more northern countries, like bears and winter animals, like what was it? What was the name? I forgot. Anyway, but yeah, so those animals started to actually move into where shops where it used to be, and like they're closed now, so they would just go and smash the window and then go inside and eat everything. So because there's no people that, and they think that okay, if there are no people, that's my territory to go in. So
yeah. Listen to this. So basically,
that was kind of what I my experience with animals and during lockdown.
I'm gonna send you an article. I don't know if you can maybe share that if you want to share it. Let me just so read this article. Basically, this article is more than 10 months old. It happened right when the COVID started, and basically, one of the other ones that I found fascinating was dolphins were returning to Venice after a very long time. But this is the one that fascinated me the most. I read it. It was in the Guardian that I read it. And so in China, in this zoo, basically what they did was for almost a decade, they've been just waiting for these two pandas to mate, because obviously the panda population is very low, and pandas are quite lazy in nature when it comes to wanting to get their freak on, right?
yeah, exactly.
So everybody's been trying to egg them on, like, please do something, we need a baby from you. You know how it is back in our cultures, right? When it's like, we need to have a baby, you need to it's like, you feel the pressure. So they were obviously very pressured, these pandas. They felt like they can't perform. So the minute everything went into lockdown, because they had it in China as well, the minute they went into lockdown, I don't know how long it was, I think it was like, all right, the male panda probably went to the female panda, yo lady, nobody's looking now, I think everybody's disappeared for a while, you want to get it on now, kind of thing. And it worked, because they managed to do it, and all they needed was just a bit of space, just a bit of privacy, just like everybody else.
yeah
And they did, mate. I don't know, I didn't continue it to find out if it was successful. I don't know what the update is, but I just thought that was pretty fascinating, to be honest with you, because I think they only have one at a time.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and polar bears, I think they have two at a time or something in most cases. So yeah, it's a rare animal, and these things have to be controlled. These things we have to look out for, because sometimes we think we're doing good things, and in the end, just trying to get these two to get it on by just forcing it to happen. That definitely wasn't consensual when it was happening before. It was like, just leave us alone, man. Just give us a minute to kind of get to know each other, kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh, hold on a second. I don't know what happened. Here we go. Sorry, messed up my controls here, and we're good to go.
Yeah, great.
No, we're not good to go. Wait. I need to tidy up again. It's a learning curve for me too. What do I
Yeah,
do
this is
here?
all a new venture, right? I mean, usually we're working on our own little project on the side, but I think
Yeah,
this
exactly.
collaboration would be good. I think we should get hopefully we can get more people next time and get them more involved, and if they
Yeah,
want to.
we'll be posting it on YouTube. So let's get some traction from YouTube over to Twitch as well. So yeah, and if it, let's see how it goes. Obviously, when you do a first one, it's never going to have the traction
How
because
many how
nobody.
many people have we got on today? How many people have we got?
I think it varied between 3 and 4, which is
Okay.
fine. It's okay. It's normal at the moment because I'm a beginner streamer.
These things take time, man. We were just talking about time and patience, right? So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it just takes time, and what we'll do is we'll utilize other social media. The thing is, even if the content is good, if people don't know that there is this content, then they're gonna find you. So it's just to be
yes.
visible. So yeah, we'll post it on YouTube, and hopefully, you'll get some kind of traction. And yeah, we'll get there. We'll get from there and see. We'll go from there and see what happens. But again,
What are your plans for the rest of the evening and the weekend this week?
So I'll probably. How long have we been streaming? So it's an hour and almost 15 minutes. So I'll say probably let's go another 15 minutes and then finish
Yeah,
up.
that's fine. Yeah, that's a good time.
After that, I'll probably jump into a. I'll have a 10-minute break, and I'll jump into Warzone, maybe Call of Duty, and have a good game. And
Listen, this week, my friend, this week it is Sunday the 14th, correct? Yes, they are. They've got UFC 258.
I thought you were going to say.
Yeah, I just remembered now, man.
Valentine's
I've been
Day.
looking forward to this, to be honest. Huh?
I thought you were going to say Valentine's Day or something.
No, no, bro. Okay. Maybe I should have said that just to look like I could be a good boyfriend or anything like that. But
Yeah.
it's UFC 258, man. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, how is anybody gonna enjoy Valentine's this year anyway? Everything's in lockdown.
True. I mean, it's not the. And my wife might kill me for this, but it's not the just. It's not the thing that you give count. It's the thought, right?
Yeah, of
So,
course.
So yeah, and yeah, as I said, my wife's pregnant, so the mood swings might be quite severe. So I might be in big trouble because I really
You
can't really
might be,
do anything.
yeah.
So
Well,
so
better you than me,
we'll
man.
see.
So yeah, what do you think is gonna happen this week, man? Like Usman or Burns? I think Usman's gonna retain it. By the way, just
Is it Usman who's playing? Who's fighting? I didn't even check.
yeah,
Who's
it's
fighting.
Kamaru Usman and Gilbert Burns. They've been trying to get
Okay.
this one done for
Yeah,
a while.
I'm pretty sure Usman will retain it.
Yeah, I have a feeling it's going to be Usman. I don't know, man. He just seems too much of a strong character and a candidate to be knocked off. I mean, even when they fought Colby Covington, man, I'm so glad he gave him a broken jaw. Did you watch that fight?
Cocky, wasn't he? Yeah,
he was so cocky. I love that the fact in the end when Kamaru won it, he goes, "I did this one for the world." I was like,
yeah.
And it's ironic because he's got the biggest mouth in the whole game, Colby, right? And he got his jaw broken.
Did I tell you about the fighter from my country who started fighting in UFC?
No, you haven't told me.
So we didn't have any fighters. So okay, let me give a bit of a background. So my country is quite heavy on Greco-Roman wrestling and in the Olympics and judo. So we've always had gold medals in boxing as well. But UFC started becoming popular now, and people have actually started creating clubs for UFC. And
do you think that could be off the back of Khabib's success? Do you think that would have had an impact?
100%, because
he's done well, man.
UFC wouldn't have even be viewed unless it was due to him, because he kind of was a breach of different worlds. So how can you be religious, conservative, and
he was a very completely
good
different
guy, down to earth, good guy, looks after his parents and everything. You know, he never wants to hurt anyone's feelings. To be amazing, it's, you know, such a violent sport as well at the same time, right? Because no, but it's genuinely like the boxing and UFC. It's built with some kind of swagger, and you have to be cocky and
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. The
like
humble
Muhammad Ali,
person
like
doesn't make
you
it.
have to shut down the opponent, like Conor McGregor, like similar type of, you know, characters. That there are a lot of Conor McGregor type of characters versus people who are the best, but the attitude is like
Cocky,
no, what's his name?
humble.
No, his name, the guy you just mentioned. Shit, I forgot his
Colby
name.
Covington.
No, the best in UFC. What's the name?
Kamaru.
No, the guy you just mentioned. Damn it.
Khabib.
Khabib, thank you.
I
don't know. I
was like, what is he
I
doing?
just went blank.
You forgot the
like-
most bait one, the most obvious one.
I mean, I'm telling you the best guy, and then you're saying, you know, Camaro and other guys. But no, it's very difficult to be down to earth and be yourself
Mhm.
and be best and the most, you know, famous fighter in the world, right? He's the most famous undefeated UFC fighter.
Mhm.
And at the same time, he's still himself. He didn't change. The money didn't change him. So
No, it did not. Definitely
so-
did not. And I think that was a
yeah.
shock to a lot of people, you know.
Yeah, let me show you. Let me find.
Show me the guy you're talking
the
about,
fight.
man. I want to see
Yeah.
the guy.
Talking about some. Keep talking about something.
Yeah, sure, man. Like, yeah, for me, I think what he's done in the game now has changed completely. You know, is first of all, he's given people an opportunity and made them realize that you don't have to be a particular character in order for you to define success again. Like, you know, talking about that, his success for him wasn't money; it was the legacy that he wanted to leave behind.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, someone like Connor, who's always talking about the money, I think Connor would go down obviously in the Hall of Fame of UFC, but I think in legend status, like it's gonna be Khabib. You know, if you want to go legendary, because the money comes secondary to when you're doing something you love and you're trying to leave a legacy. And I think the fact that he's made it very clear that I'm not coming back for anything unless it's a fight that's worth it. I think that goes to show the sentiment of when a man gives his word, what it actually means to give his word. You know, it was the fact that he was so. How can you be so self-conscious that you're fighting, you know, one of the most dangerous people, I think, in Justin Gaethje, and you're still conscious enough to go, oh, I realized his parents were there. I didn't want to beat his face up.
Yeah, exactly, right?
You heard that interview,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
like
you
what?
can't. Normally, you would, if it was him, like the other way around, he would have destroyed. Like if Gaethje had the same power, if let's say you just turn it around, Gaethje wouldn't even care. He would just destroy Khabib and wouldn't look back. You know, he didn't care. He wouldn't.
No,
care.
he wouldn't have.
So
they're not conscious enough, man.
Yeah, let me show this.
How would you say this guy's name? Viharavejdes Dharma? Is that how you'd say it? Is that the guy, right?
Yeah. No, Mahmoud. If you scroll down.
Oh, it's Mahmoud. Yeah, there it is. There it is.
Yeah.
I'll put it now. Yeah. Okay, UFC 257. That already went by.
Yeah.
He won. I'm guessing he won his fight, right?
Yeah, it's the way he won that was quite interesting. He was dominating all you know, throughout the fight.
I did hear of this guy actually. I did hear his name pop up because I watched. I don't know if it was in DC and Helwani. I think it was. You watched DC and Helwani.
Is this?
Yeah, round 3, 259.
Oh, it's the beginning. It's not showing. Ah, damn it! I don't know why it's not showing.
I've got here.
No, it's the wrong one. Anyway, he fought against Sanchez.
Yes,
just
that's
quite
correct.
recently. Yeah, and yeah, if you guys can find it on Google, just have a look at like the way.
Oh
he
yeah,
won.
there's the flag. There's the flag. I could see. Yeah. Ooh. He.
It's a knockout.
Yeah.
And I couldn't find it. I don't know why.
No, hold on. Let me see if I can find it. I mean, let me just have a look here.
Yeah. So yeah, that was a really good fight. And the thing is, he didn't even get beaten yet.
He's
He started-
undefeated. Yeah, I just saw it
yeah.
now.
He started in prelims, right? Nobody
Yeah.
knows him. He made his debut, knocked the guy out, and then he's a very outgoing person. You know, like when he walks into the room, you would know that he walked in. That kind of person, right? Very lively, you know, cocky, like I said, and you know, but that's who he is. He's not changing because of that. It's just the way it is. And as soon as he won this match, or no, as soon as he won the first match, he
Oh
was
my
talking
god!
to
I'm looking at the way that he sparked out Sanchez. Like, oh my god!
So he spoke to the straight away.
No.
He spoke to the owner of UFC and was like, "Yeah, give me a
Dana, yeah.
better." Yeah, better fights. Like, what's this? And then, okay, so imagine what in 2 months he from prelims he's in the main card now.
Nice. He did like Chimaev at the beginning of 2020, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, he's going good. He's
Yeah.
going good.
Yeah, he went to Dana White. I think he just went over to Dana White now, and he's.
Yeah, you know what he said? You know what he said?
What did he say?
Why are you not following me on Instagram?
Yeah, see, these are the kind of characters that you like to watch. You know, even Habib. Yeah, like you know, he might be a guy who just goes around like mauling people, but if you watch his little clips that he has with his coach on YouTube of how they train him and some of the other teams at AKA, right? It's so funny. It is so funny the way he talks with DC and the way he talks with some of the other guys. Bro, they got such a sense of humor. It's unbelievable. But at the same time, again, you know, you don't have to have all of that, you know, outlandish and in your face kind of personality just to kind of, you know, stand out there. Again, you don't have to, if that's who you are, then that's fine. You know, if you're outlandish, like, you know, you are McGregor's out there, he's an extrovert, he's all over the place. You can tell he just wants to stay important. You know, he wants to stay in the limelight, and that's fine. That's his personality. You can't change that, you know, and it's worked for him. But imagine Khabib trying to do that, bro. Like, you know, everybody's going to be like, what's wrong with this guy, man?
It won't work, of course. Yeah, it won't work. Yeah, you do what suits you. And as soon as you find your niche, what gets people being interested in you, then basically people just use that. So... Yeah,
but in the end, it's about the fight, right?
To do anything. Yeah, exactly. Khabib didn't need to do anything. He just had to be best at what he does. That's it. That's what got him the fame.
Whereas, that's it. And he was humble. Stay humble, brother. Stay humble.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Anyway, mate. So that was a really good chat. I think we need to do it maybe next week, maybe the following week on Friday.
Yeah, we can definitely have a look at that.
Yeah, so let's pick a subject. I would say we've done the introduction, so people know about our lives, and hopefully will know about our lives. You know, we didn't have many viewers, but we'll put it on YouTube. So next time, I think we'll be touching base on some politics, and you have slightly different view in terms of politics to me, and I think that's going to be quite interesting for people to hear about.
Yeah, definitely.
Again, the things that we discuss is just our personal experiences and opinions, and you know, we don't want, you know, to kind of, you know, tell people what's good and what's bad. What has worked for us, what we believe in, is what we had to go through. And that's our experience. So
yeah, it might not be for everybody. It might not be for everybody, because at the end of the day, we did mention this. Everybody has their own journey. If some of the stuff that we spoke about in terms of the methodology might resonate with other people, then yeah, if people want to try it out, that's perfectly fine. But we're not saying that it's going to work for everyone, and we're not saying it will work for everyone. Yeah. Everybody has a different path, and I think it's important for anybody that's watching and anybody that, you know, decides that they are going through difficult times and they want to try different things. There are different things and I think we'll talk about that more in the future, like things we actually did, like things that I did for myself that I changed, and I tried different stuff in order for what worked for me to get me to that headspace where I'm more settled, I'm more calm, I'm able to think and have a direction compared to my, if you want to call it, previous lifestyles.
Yeah. Yeah.
I enjoyed it today though, man. Like,
yeah,
I think
same.
It's a long time coming. We've been talking about doing this for a while.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, let's keep it going, and like we just said, you know, let's go ham and see if it works, and then And yeah, thank you whoever joined the channel, and thank you for your time. Please, do follow us on Twitch if you can, on YouTube, etc. So we'll be posting this video on YouTube in case you missed the beginning. And yeah, thank you so much, and have a good time.
Take care, guys. Have a good weekend.